So according to string theory, the universe is made up of tiny vibrating strings. Is the theory stringing us along? Shall we go along? Who is the we? Is it a community? If so, what is the unity of this community? What are its differences?
Okay. My vague understanding of the string theory in the most vaguest of terms is it's actually particles that are riding along in wave-like fashion, and so it's a combination of the strings and the particles put together. And so sort of just juxtaposed myself on the string, and all the people in Parkdale we're all
Right.
just little individuals, and each one makes the string move in a certain way. Like we all have our own resonance or vibration or whatever you want to call it. And this is my my own crazy theory, of course. But it, the the more artistic or crazy people you have, the cooler the swing of the wave is.
Just to respond to what your conception of string theory. According to string theory, as we talked last week, there are these little basic units called strings, and that everything, all the particles, all excuse me, all matter in the universe, which are say members of the universe, are actually vibrating overtones or resonances of the string. So it's not as if the string exists and then there are particles. The only thing that really does exist, according to string theory, is the string. And what we perceive to be real or existing are really overtones of the string.
It's just overtones of the string. So the string really isn't there, but you're just getting the sense of it.
No, it is there. In a sense, I'm saying we are not really there.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
reversing it.
okay, got it. Okay,
The
keep
string
going.
is what's really there, but we don't perceive it directly. Uh, and in a sense, we're not really there, or we're only there as overtones of the string. Or, in a sense, the transcendent reality is first, and then we exist. It's not the other way around.
What you were saying is that I'll give you, when I was learning English, there was the noun. That the noun exists
Right. Yes.
and the verb does not exist. So, reality of it, the string exists in our own imaginary mind,
Right.
and but you sort of want to bring that out, and it's possible to make it real, or make believe that it's real. Like you say about the artist, and the artist is crazy. But you gotta go crazy first before the artist. It's not the artist becomes crazy. It's the craziness that becomes the art.
Trying to do here is to create a notion of social physics. Did you want to say?
No, I'm still grappling with this, and so if you say if we don't really exist, but still we're making the string do what the string does, or like we're like I want to know if you're telling me I don't exist. I want to know I have an impact on the string. Is what I guess.
It's like sort of free will here and necessity. Um, well, let's look at the theory. Let's look at the theory.
Yeah, maybe that would help.
So, according to the string theory, as far as I understand it, everything, not just us, but I mean everything, I mean the floor and the books and the microphones, are overtones of the string. So, like and the only, what distinguishes one thing from another is the vibratory mode. So, how something vibrates. So something could, or the pitch, right? In music, you call it the pitch. So if a string is very, very tight, it has a high pitch. If it's not so, if it's looser, then it has a lower pitch. So that's its vibratory mode, its pitch. And so quarks, which are elementary particles, have a different pitch than, say, others, the electrons or whatever. And so everything has a different pitch to it, has a different vibratory mode. And that's its reality. But that's its sort of membership reality. That's how it's a member. That's how it is an example of the larger thing, which is the community.
Okay, so even I'm still I get that and how you're saying that I don't have a direct influence on it, but still perhaps
Well, you are. I mean, each
yeah,
of us
like
is it.
yeah, yes I know, but
Each of us is
depending
it.
on our makeup and everything,
That's our pitch. That's our
yes,
frequency. So we are it. I mean, we don't know that. We can't, it's like when we look in the mirror, we're not going to see these tiny bits of string. Yeah, just invisible,
thank
too small,
goodness.
right? We're not going to see ourselves as string. But I think I mentioned the Matrix last week, did I not?
Yes, you did.
Right? And I said that Neo's moment of revelation when he saw all things as data. So I'm suggesting that data, those sort of green numbers that appear on the screen in the matrix, are the sort of vibratory mode of things. These sort of the programs, the subprograms, and they define how we vibrate. They define our actions. They define our behavior. I don't want to be behaviorist and say we're just limited to a set of commands, but I'm suggesting in the same way that as every note has a certain pitch to it. So in a sense, we have a certain structure to our reality, which is musically named by pitch. And so we are the string. I mean, we are parts of the string, just as members are parts of the community. In the same way, we don't see the community. When we look around, we see other people, or we see objects. We don't see the community, so the community is only understood through the relations between all things. As Chief Seattle said, all things are relations, are our relations. So we only see the community. We only can try to remember what the community is through understanding the relations between all things. So then we need theory to see, in other words, to make visible what normally is invisible. So that
You're you're gathering information. I think if I'm in a room with 100 people and we're there for one reason, and then at the end there's called a social communication, and you start talking to other people, and it's a social thing, and depends who you know, depends who you meet, and that's how we connect. You know, so I always connecting with people in a sense what they're all about.
as you're saying, Mario, you're in a room, you're gathering information from people, you're trying to connect with people, you're trying to figure out, what is that social environment about and how you fit in there. And in the process of gathering information, you're also trying to understand how it all fits together, how you fit into it, and how it all fits together.
Why these group of people are there in the first place? When I go to an auction or a book launch or a review of a movie or any or even Facebook or Twitter and all those things and we're communicating constantly on the phone on all these things. The technology has gone viral, or we can communicate anywhere we want to be and say what we want to say.
Okay, so I just want to add to that. So, in gathering the relations between all things, we are trying to understand the nature of our community. So, in understanding how different things have different vibratory modes, we're trying to understand the string. So that way, we're trying to make the invisible, which is the community, visible. So the community manifests itself through the different vibrations that it gives off, which are called members of the community. So each vibration is a member. And we're trying to as human beings, we're trying to remember what that greater whole is to understand the connections between all things.
The community, you're going to predict what the community members are like,
When you say predict, what exactly do
or
you mean? Like, exactly how they're going to think or how they're going to act under certain
yes,
circumstances?
are you going to study the community members to decide what the community is, or study the community to decide what the members?
Well, it's sort of back and forth, I mean, you say, let's take Mario's example again. You walk into a room with people, like this is a group of people, and you want to know them individually because we're individuals. We have individual, vibratory modes, let's just say. And so you have to know the individual. At the same time, you want to generalize and talk about, like the basic fundamental understanding that people may have, which is belonging to the community values and such. So you go back and forth between levels of understanding and analysis of individuals. What's your story? What's your particular story? And then trying to understand, how it is we're sort of together and what brings us together, which might be called the community. So it's not one or the other. It's sort of a bit of both going back and forth.
Thank you very much. We can move on. I think I actually understood something. I think.
Okay, let me get. You have to be crazy first, and then you're an artist. Well, Jack. I mean, you're an artist. What do you agree or disagree with that statement?
Well, I think it's unfortunately not everyone who's crazy is an artist,
That's true.
and they're not able. Some people are just not able to bring it out or express themselves with it. I do think you are born an artist, and this soul of the artist is like within you, in the gene or whatever. And the whole I can't say that word. I've never been able to
It's the
say it.
boho.
How do you say
Bohemian?
I can't say that word. That whole time of the Van Gogh craziness, I mean, he was a drunkard, okay? That's the truth. He was addicted just like to drugs, to alcohol, but he had that within him, you know. As a youth, before he started taking the alcohol, he had the artistic spirit within him. I don't believe that they're linked. I just think that because most artists, real artists, don't live under such a conservative light as other people. You're seeing as being odd, which people interpret as being the word crazy,
Yeah, maybe